Thank you for joining us from across the US and Sri Lanka. We are delighted that you have done so. A special thanks to our presenters for being with us. How did Satva come about? Sometime in early 2022, Krishan and I had this discussion about creating a more formal way to fund projects to help the truly needy and most vulnerable in Sri Lanka. We had both been supporting projects in Sri Lanka for several decades, but we were interested in creating a more structured way to do so. We were already seeing the signs of Sri Lanka's economic woes sweeping across the country, and were acutely aware of the crushing economic burdens faced by a large swath of the population. We then contacted Shireen, and she was super enthusiastic about joining us in the effort. We then had Nilakshi and Sonali come on board as board members. In formulating Satva's mission, we were all in agreement that we would focus intensely on people and organizations that fall below the radar when it comes to securing assistance from larger organizations and individuals. This meant that we would have to devote more time to identify suitable projects and allocate more time and efforts to track those projects. But we decided that was going to be Satva's mission. Our next goal was identifying the areas Satva would support. And we decided on the following: community meals, child protection, children with special needs, education, essential medicines, animal welfare, basic home construction, and sustainable agriculture. Our next step was getting Satva's legal status sorted out. In September 2022, we registered Satva as a charity and incorporated as a nonprofit organization in the state of Nevada. In October 2022, Satva received approval from the Federal Internal Revenue Service, IRS, as an organization exempt from federal income tax under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. Finally, in October and November 2022, we also registered Satva as a charitable organization with the states of Georgia, New Jersey, and New York. Satva was now ready to launch projects in Sri Lanka. Satva's IRS status made contributions tax deductible, and in certain instances, these contributions eligible for corporate matches. I would also like to emphasize that nearly 100% of what we raise from contributors, from our donors, go towards the projects we fund in Sri Lanka. We have almost no administrative costs. We have been so fortunate to receive such overwhelming support from those around the United States, and we are extremely grateful for that. I will now hand over to Shireen to share a few more details about Satva's projects.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're really grateful that today we have 4 individuals with us who can give you a really good sense of the work that Satva Fund supports in Sri Lanka. In addition to this work, you'll be hearing from Michael, David, about our 90-day high-protein meals program. You will be hearing from Swarna on a house that we helped to construct, and Milani and Mihitha on programs in child protection and menstrual health. In addition to those, we provide monthly stipends for about 35 students from primary school age up to university. We have funded the construction of 20 sanitary toilets in tea plantations, and we fund a program for 70 children with autism and hyperactivity in the Gaul area, children who are excluded from mainstream schools. And so these types of programs that we support help to work with the kids and equip their parents with tools to support their development. So we do a lot of other work. We support a lot of other work too, but those are sort of 3 examples of the types of work we support. And the way we do this is that we identify partners who are doing great work in Sri Lanka that falls below the radar screen of larger donors. And we stay in regular touch to track their progress, to really kind of understand what the needs are, and also to ensure that the funds are being helped to make them, are being used to make the most positive impact. And then when we are in Sri Lanka, we visit in person to try and really understand these programs and the accountability systems and so on. And there just is so much important and very underfunded work going on in Sri Lanka. And that is what, we hope to kind of be a channel for supporting. And we can support this work because of the generosity of our donors. In our first full year of operation in 2023, we set a goal of $25,000, and we were able to exceed that by raising 40,000. In 24, we set a goal of 40,000. We exceeded it by raising 48,000. And then this year, we set a goal of 50,000. And with the hope of generous donors, we hope to meet and exceed that goal. And thank you, many of you who have joined us are donors who do support our work, and I want to extend a heartfelt thank you. We're really delighted that we can share firsthand, some of this work that Satva has supported this year. So first up, we have Michael David, who is a co-founder of the Affinity Foundation. And Affinity helps to provide thousands of meals to children who are acutely malnourished in Sri Lanka. Because Michael and Dinesh who run Affinity are volunteers, they are able to allocate 100% of donor contributions to program activities with no deductions for administrative costs. I saw Affinity's work in action in January in Sri Lanka. I visited Tabowa Junior School in the Putlam district, one of the two schools we were supporting with these high protein meals daily. And I was just really, really impressed with how the program was run, the way meals are cooked each day by a parent, how the meals are served, and the dynamism of the two teachers who were Affinity's liaisons. And Sujit and I actually, on a daily basis, we got photos of every single meal that was served, and for those 90 days, the 90 school days. And so I can really vouch for how seriously Affinity Foundation takes transparency and accountability. So with that, I will turn over to Michael for our first presentation. And Michael, I'll share your slides on my screen.
Thank you so much, Erin. Sorry, I can't seem to get my video up and running. But hopefully the presentation will be up on the screen. So we came across Satva Fund, I think, through Sherin who I was speaking to on Twitter, and I'm very grateful to have Satva on board with us as well. So just to go through the first slide and to speak about why we started doing this during the economic collapse, we realized even during the protests at Golface, most of the people were turning up at Golface for meals rather than the more political drive and the political change that people were talking about. When we were there, we were studying what was going on and how we could help. And the realization came that most families end up coming in the night looking for meals. So we started the community kitchen at Golface. We ran it right throughout, and that was quite successful. So after that, we moved into several feeding programs. with because of the economic collapse, there was no gas available, there was food shortages, so many problems, the electricity cuts and so on. So we moved here from community to community, conducting community kitchens in those areas and having people share what they have and teaching them how they could add value to what they have by the entire community coming together. So that gave birth to Affinity Foundation with the start of the schools reopening after COVID and all these problems. We realized children were not turning up. So digging into that, we found children were not able, one, they were not able to afford the cost of, one was the travel, second was the stationery, because there was, I think, about a 60% jump in the price of stationeries. And third, most of the children started fainting during morning meetings and so on because of the lack of food. Some pictures were shown even on the media where they just had rice and some leafy greens or two pieces of papadang and so on. So then Dinesh and I, who were childhood friends, we were speaking to each other and we said, okay, we need to do something about this. And we set out not, we didn't have a target really. We set out to do what we can with whatever resources that we had in hand, and we were appealing on social media, and a lot of people were responsive to that. So that gave birth to Affinity Foundation. We registered that, and we consulted a nutritionist and a couple of doctors that we knew who were working in this area to give us an idea of what sort of program we need to come up, and that gave was the beginning of the Affinity Foundation, the 90-day meal program, what we have now branded as the Affinity Way. So just to go through some of the slides. So the program overview, as you can see, this is the meal program that we have developed. It changes according to the area and whatever food that is in season, but we maintain the high protein diet because a lot of people ask us, okay, children are hungry. Why aren't you addressing that? Is 90 days enough? But given the funds and the resources that we had in hand, we had to make a choice of, okay, are we going to treat hunger or are we going to treat malnutrition? Malnutrition is a hidden cause that not many people address. Even Shireen, when she visited Tambour, saw the height and the weight of the children that were very below par. They were basically, they don't meet the required standards. So we address children that are acutely malnourished. We work through the education ministry. We ask them to give us five of the worst schools that they think are in need of help. And then we have the PHI conduct a BMI measurement of all the children. And we select the worst schools out of that, where the highest number of children are malnourished. So most of the time, it's more than 50 to 60% of children are below the red line. As you can see on this slide, what we address through the high protein meal is the lack of micronutrients that are required for growth. And the age group that we target, we were doing from grade 1 to 5, but since the government offered the meals, we moved on to grade 6 to 11. And this is really the last window that you have in the growth stage where you can address malnutrition. If you miss that window, it really becomes a intergenerational problem where it moves on from the mother to the child and from the parents to the children and so on. And uh, it becomes a issue that cannot be reversed after you miss that final window. So with the work that we were doing, Satva came on board. We were very happy to have them. They sponsored two schools together. I think we provided more than 30,000 meals altogether through the 90-day program. So one was 117 children. The other one was 132 children in Palmerston. This was in Talawakale, up country. We found them to be struggling with their growth, and they were doing quite well in their studies, but children still were not turning up to school, which gives rise to a lot of problems within the community where they are open for exploitation and so many other problems that arise from that. I think Milani can speak quite a quite a bit more on what children face in terms of abuse and so on. So I leave that up to her. This is if you can see the blue line is the first BMI that we did with the PHF prior to starting our program. So you can see a lot of children from the grade 6 to 11, you can see the lines are quite below. And then towards the mid, you see the dark blue line that comes in where you see a spike in growth from grade 6 to 7 and 8. But after that, it sort of plateaus. It sort of settles out because they're reaching their maximum potential by the time they're at about grade 10 and 11. So that is the growth spurt window that we have to address malnutrition and to get them to reverse the effects of malnutrition as well. So you see towards grade 10 and 11, both sort of, you don't see much of a change happening there. But we have been quite successful working with the lower grades as well as maintaining a healthy weight among the grade 10 and 11. So just to give you some background, as Shireen did on the introduction, the meals we select either a single parent or a parent from the student community itself to do the cooking. We provide them an incentive of about 1,000 rupees or 1,200 rupees, depending on the number of meals that are being prepared, so that they don't look towards making profit out of the money that is allocated for the children. So 150 rupees per meal is allocated per child based on that menu that you saw. So the ingredients are again sourced locally, so it supports that sort of rural economy. And we ensure the program is 100% transparent to our donors. There are daily updates on our social media where we post pictures and show the progress of the children as well on when we do conduct the 3 BMI tests right throughout. Next slide, please. So just to summarize, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you very much for joining us and giving me this opportunity. So to summarize, we see through our 90-day program, the doctors recommend malnutrition reversal is sort of a 30-day structured program under supervision, but we don't have the luxury of doing that. And that is where, when we consulted some of the nutritionists and the doctors, they said, okay, since you're providing one meal, stretch it out for 3 months and test it. And that was quite successful. So we have seen a lot of improved growth in the children and improved academic performance and attendance. Even if the children are sick, sometimes the parents bring them to school so that they can have that meal in the morning, because things like eggs, fish, chicken are a luxury for most of these children. So they end up coming to school just for the meal as well. And we see a spike in their test scores as well. So we hope to continue this with the support of the donors and, of course, organizations like Satva coming on board to support us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Michael.
I hope I covered everything. There's so much to say, but had to run through with the time limit.
Yes,
You did.
yes, you did.
Yes.
Thank you. That was really great. And if there are questions for Michael, please put them in the chat. We'll try to hear from each of our 4 speakers and then come to questions at the end. Over to you, Sujit.
Thank you, Shireen. Our next presenter is K. Swarna Kanthi. She has a sociology degree from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. She joined government service as a probation and childcare officer in 1999, with her first posting being in Anuradhapura. Swarna is now a child rights promotion officer and is based in the Social Services Division of the Divisional Secretariat Office in Weligama. Her work focuses on identifying children at risk and connecting them with appropriate services and resources. She addresses a range of issues affecting children under 18, working closely with schools, Grama Niladaris, and village committees. Her role involves regular field visits to meet with children and families, assess their needs, and coordinate practical solutions through available support systems. Over her 26 years of service advocating for children, Swarna has served in many parts of Sri Lanka, but most recently in Matara, Weligama, and Karandeniya. My brother Jehan and I have had the privilege of working with Swarna for over 10 years, so we are very pleased that she can join us today. Swarna will be speaking to us in Sinhalese, and Sanali has very kindly agreed to do a little translation as we go along. Swarna, Sabhava Oyage.
Hi. What's it?
Ganna Swarna. Hari Swarna.
Hi, son. Hi, sir.
Hari.
Hari.
Then පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්.
Hari. So, sorry?
Hari Swarna.
Hello.
පටන් ගන්න. ඇහෙනවනේ අපිට?
මොකක්ද කියන්න? ඔව් ඇහෙනවා.
Ah, right. දැන් පටන් ගන්න. ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ඔයගේ remarks ටික දැන් කියන්න පුළුවන්.
ඔව්. ඒ කියන්නේ මොන වගේ පැත්තකින් දන්නේ නැද්ද? දරුවෝ ගැනද නැත්නම් මේ
family තෝරපු විදිය
අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලම මේ තක්සේරු කරන්නේ දරුවන්ගේ සුබ සාධනය. කියන්නේ දරුවන්ගේ රැකවරණය. රැකවරණය අහිමි වෙච්ච පවුල් තමයි අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට තෝරගන්නේ. ඒක මව හෝ පියා නොමැතිවීම, ආරක්ෂාව නොමැතිවීම, පෝෂණය නොමැතිවීම, අධ්‍යාපනයේ මේ බිඳ වැටිච්ච මූලික අවශ්‍යතාවයන් බිඳ වැටිච්ච දරුවන් ඉන්න පවුල් තමයි අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම තෝරගන්නේ.
right. තෝරගත්තට පස්සේ සවුනා දැන් කොහොමද
අපි ඒක දැන් මේ ඉඩමක් නැත්තම් අපි රජයෙන් ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් හා සම්බන්ධ වෙලා රජයේ තියෙන භූමියකින් ඉඩම් කෑල්ලක් අරන් දෙන පර්චස් 10ක් 15ක් වගේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක ඉඩම් රෙජිස්ට්‍රාර් කාර්යාලයේ ඉල්ලීම කරලා ලියාපදිංචි කරලා ඒ අයිතිය තහවුරු කරනවා මේ දරුවන්ගේ මවගේ නමින්.
right.
දරුවන්ගේ මවට ඉඩම අයිතිය තහවුරු කරාට පස්සේ තමයි අපි අනිත් ඒවා ඔක්කොම කරන්නේ.
right.
ඉඩම අයිතිය තහවුරු කරගත්තට පස්සේ.
right. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මාස කීයක් ගන්නවද ස්වර්ණ ගෙදර හදන්න?
අපි ඉඩම කම්ප්ලීට් කරගත්තට පස්සේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඉඩම අපිට ඉඩම රජයේ සම්බන්ධතාවයෙන් මත ඉඩම කම්ප්ලීට් කරන්න මාස 3ක් 4ක් විතර යනවා. ඊට පස්සේ සල්ලි හම්බුනාට පස්සේ මාස 3කින් 4කින් ගේ වැඩ ඉවර කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
right. ගෙදර හදන එකත් දැන් ස්වර්ණ සුපර්වයිස් කරනවනේ කන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් ප්‍රොසෙස් එක. ඒක කොහොමද කරන්නේ ස්වර්ණ? ඔව් ඒකත් කියන්න
පොඩ්ඩක්. ඒක මම සතියට දවස් 3ක් විතර යනවා. මේ හැම එකම මම තමයි මේ සුපර්වයිස් කරන්නේ.
right. right.
බඩු ගන්නේවා වැඩ කරන හැටි ඒවා නිරන්තරයෙන්ම අධීක්ෂණය කරනවා.
right. දැන් සත්ව ෆන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක දැන් ස්වර්ණ අපි ගෙවල් දෙකක් හදලා තියෙනවා නේද? පළමු ගෙදර ගැන ටිකක් කියන්න පුළුවන්ද අපිට?
මේ ඉස්සෙල්ලම හැදුවේ මේ ශිරානි ඉනෝකා ගවුඩර් කියන ඒ අම්මගේ ගෙදර. ඒ අම්මා මේ ඒ කියන්නේ දීර්ඝ කාලෙ ලෙඩකට ගොදුරු වෙලා හිටියේ. ඇඳෙන් නැගිටින්නවත් බැරුව හිටියේ. ඊට පස්සේ දරුවෙක් හිටියා ඉගෙන ගන්න ඉස්කෝලේ 7. ඊට පස්සේ දරුවට ආරක්ෂාව නැහැ, ඉන්න ගේ නැහැ. අම්මා ඇඳේ. ඊට පස්සේ අපි පවුල් හමුවක් තියලා මේ සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන ඉඩම ගත්ත ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් හරහා ඉඩම වෙන් කරගෙන ඊට පස්සේ සර්ලා සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන ගේ හදලා දරුවගේ අධ්‍යාපනය ඔක්කොම සම්පූර්ණ කරා. දැනට ඒ අම්මා තාමත් රෝගී තාම ප්‍රතිකාර කරනවා. ඒ ප්‍රතිකාර සඳහා ශිරානි ඉනෝකා කවුඩර්ට.
right. දැන් හදන ගෙදර ස්වර්ණ ළමයි 4 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනේ අම්මට?
ළමයි
uh,
4යි. ළමයි 4යි. ඒක විශේෂයි. ඒක විශේෂයි කියන්නේ එයා හිටියේ පාර අයිනක වෙලක් අයිනක මේ චූටි කටුමැටි ගහපු ගෙදරක. නමුත් එයාගේ තාත්තා ඉන්නවා. තාත්තා ඉගෙනගෙන නැහැ, රස්සාවක් නැහැ, කුලී වැඩ තමයි කරේ. ඒතකොට අර කුලී වැඩින් කරන්න පුළුවන් පෝෂණ මේ කියන්නේ මේ කන බොන දේ මේ සපයා ගන්න එක විතරයි. අනිත් එකේ තාත්තා බීමට ඇබ්බැහිවිලා හිටියා. ඒක නිසා අපි අර පවුල් හමුවක් තියලා තාත්තට කවුන්සලින් දීලා දැන් ටික ටික එයා සාමාන්‍යකරණයට දැන් 85% විතර එයා නිවැරදි කරගෙන තින්නේ. මේ දැන් ගේට් සම්පූර්ණයෙන් හදලා දුන්නා. දරුවන් ඉස්කෝල ගත කරා. ඉස්කෝලේ ගියෙත් නැහැ දරුවෝ. පාසල් ගත කරා. ඒ අවශ්‍යතා ටික දීලා දරුවෝ පාසල් ගත කළා. දැන් අංග සම්පූර්ණ නිවසකුත් දීලා තාත්තට ඉදිරියදා කුලී වැඩ කළා. ඒ ලබන ආදායමෙන් පවුල පෝෂණය කරගන්න ඒ තැනට අපි දැන් ගෙනහැලා තියෙනවා.
right. ඉදිරියට යන්න ස්වර්ණ මම හිතන හැටියට තව හුඟක් පවුල් ඇති ඒ පැත්තේ නේද?
ඔව්. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ඉගෙන ගත්තු නැති නිසා රස්සාවල් හොයාගන්න අමාරුනේ. එතකොට අර කුලී වැඩ තමයි කරන්නේ. ලැබෙන විදියට දැන් කුලී වැඩ හැමදාම නැහැනේ. එතකොට කුලී වැඩක් ලැබුණොත් තමයි ඔයගලන්ට ආදායමක් උපයන්න වෙන්නේ. අම්මටත් හැකියාවක් නැහැ. චූටි බබෙක් ඉන්න මාස ගණන මාස දැන් අවුරුද්දක් විතර වෙනවා. මේ එතකොට මේ බබා දාලා යන්න විදියක් නැහැ නේ. අම්මට ගාමන්ට් එකකටවත් රැකියාවට යන්න විදියක් නැහැ අර චූටි බබා නිසා. දරුවන්ගේ රැකවරණය දෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ නේ අම්මා ගියොත්. ළමයි ඉස්කෝලේ යවා ගන්න විදියක් නැහැ. ඒක නිසා මේ එතන පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා ආදායම් උත්පාදනයේ.
right right. බොහොම ස්තුතියි ස්වර්ණ මේ අපිත් එක්ක ඇවිල්ලා මේ අපි හදපු ගෙවල් පවුල් ගැන කියපු කතාවට ඒක හරි වැදගත් අපිට වෙන මොන හරි වෙනස් වෙන ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් මොන හරි ඇඩ් කරන්න තියෙනවද
අපි
කතාවට
බොහෝ
අපිට?
වෙලාවට අපි ඔව් කියන්නේ දැන් මුලින් අපි හැමදේම කරන්නේ මේ ඒ කියන්නේ අර බිඳුණු පවුලක්නේ බිඳුණු පවුල. ඒ කියන්නේ එක්ක අම්මා නැහැ එක්ක තාත්තා නැහැ. අපට හම්බෙච්ච හැම පවුලකම තාත්තා නැහැ. එතකොට මේ තනි මාපිය කියන අම්මා තමයි පවුල නඩත්තු කරේ දරුවන්ට අධ්‍යාපනය දෙන්න පෝෂණය දෙන්න හැම වගකීමක් කරන් තුනේ අම්මලා. ඒ අම්මට දරුවන්ගේ රැකවරණය දෙන්න බැරි නිසා තමයි අපි සහාය දැක්ුවේ. දැන් මේ දීපු පවුල් අපි තව ගයක් හදුවනේ සර් මේ මෙයාගේ මේ සමන්තිමාලි කියලා අංග සම්පූර්ණ
yes
ගයක් ඒත්
ඔව්
හදලා
මතකයි
දුන්නා.
මතකයි. ඔව්
ඔව් ඔව්. එතනත් මේ දූල දෙන්නයි පුතයි අම්මයි ඉන්නේ. මේ ඒකත් බොහොම මේ කියන්නේ මේ ඛේදනීය තත්ත්වයක් තමයි එතනත් තිබුණේ. අම්මා අර ගණිකා වෘත්තිය දීලා වගේ තමයි දරුවෝ පෝෂණය කරේ. ඊට පස්සේ අපි යාට කඩයක් දාලා දුන්නා. එතනින් මුදව ගත්තා. දරුවෝ ඉස්කෝලේ යවලා අධ්‍යාපනය ලැබලා දුන්නා. ඒ පවුල ගොඩ නැගුවා.
right.
සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම.
හරි. හරි බොහොම
අර
ස්තුතියි ස්වර්ණ
ඉස්සෙල්ල
අපිත්
පවුලස
එක්ක.
ඔව් අර
sorry
ඉස්සෙල්ල
go ahead.
පවුලස ඔව් අර දැන් අපි මේ දැන් හදන ගේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ
right
එතන මේ දැන් අපේ තාත්තා කෙනෙක් හිටියත් ඒ තාත්තගෙන් දරුවන්ට ලැබිච්ච යුතු අර රැකවරණය ආරක්ෂාව පෝෂණය නොලැබෙච්ච නිසා තමයි තාත්තා හිටියත් අපිට ඒ දරු පවුල වෙනුවෙන් සම්බන්ධතාවයක් ඇති කරගෙන දරුවන්ට මේ රැකවරණය දෙන්න සුදුසු තැනක් හදාන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ තාත්තා හිටියත්. තාත්තගෙන් කෙරෙන්න ඕන වගකීම් මගහැරිච්ච නිසා.
right right right
නැත්තම් අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් තෝරගන්නේ අර තාත්තා නැති පවුල් තමයි.
තාත්තා නැති
මේක
පවුල්
විශේෂ
නේ.
වුණේ ඒකයි විසරේක. ඔව් තාත්තා නැති
right
පවුල්. ඊටමත් දුගී අන්ත අසරණ භාවයට පත්වෙච්ච කාන්තාවක්.
right හරි.
ඒක
බොහොම
අපි පවුල් හමු
ස්තුතියි.
තියලස පවුල් හමු තිය. ඔව්.
right
මේ අර මේ කේස් කොන්ෆරන්ස් එකක් කරලා තමයි තෝරගන්නේ.
හරි හරි හරි.
නිලධාරීන් එක එකතු වෙලා ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී අපේ අනිත්
okay
මේ උපදේශන නිලධාරී වනිතා සංවර්ධන නිලධාරී ඒ වගේ
right
නිලධාරීන් ටික ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා කේස් කොන්ෆරන්ස් එක කරලා තමයි මේක තීරණය කරන්නේ මේකට අපි උදව් කරන්න ඕනද කියලා
right
මේ
right
පවුලට
හරි
පවුල නගා
හරි
සිටවන්න ඔව් සර්
හරි excellent. බොහොම ස්තුතියි ස්වර්ණ අපිත් එක්ක මේ ඩීටේල්ස් ටික ඔක්කොම කිව්වට අපි ඉදිරියට ස්වර්ණත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන එක අපිට තුඟක් වැදගත්කමක් එනවා
ඔව් සර්
ඒකෙන් ඒකට හරි ස්තුතියි.
මත් ස්තුතියක් කරන්න ඕන ඇත්තටම මේ අර මේ ග්‍රාමීය මට්ටමින් ඉතාලම දුගී පවුල් අපි අර ඒ කියන්නේ බිම් මට්ටමේ රැකියාව කරන අයනේ අපි. ඒකට අපිට ගොඩාක් දැනෙනවා මිනිසුන්ගේ දුක. ඒ කියන්නේ අර කරදරකාරී බව. එතකොට ඒකට පිටක් වෙන සර්ලා උදව් කරපු එකටත් ගොඩාක් ස්තුතියි ගොඩක් පිං.
හරි. thank you ස්වර්ණ බොහොම ස්තුතියි. Over to you, Shireen.
ඔව් සර්
Actually,
හරි.
Sanali is going to go next, introducing Mihitha.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope my translation was okay. I tried my best. It's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Mihitha Basnayake. Basnayake is a medical doctor turned social activist who has conducted workshops across the country, particularly in the area of reproductive health. He is passionate about building a better Sri Lanka and is an activist and altruistic volunteer, lending his services to provide medical counseling to youth and adults. He is one of the 3 founders of the Safe Circles, which partners with the Zonta Club 2 of Colombo to deliver menstrual health and hygiene awareness programs in schools all over Sri Lanka. Satva Fund partners with Zonta on this and is grateful to Zonta for doing the legwork to identify the schools, secure invitations from the school's principals, and provide all the logistical arrangements so that doctors like Mihitha can deliver these menstrual health and hygiene programs. We are glad to have 2 members of Zonta, Roseanne and Shahnaz, with us today as well.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Mihitha here from Colombo. So I'll just give you an overview of the work and why it is important basically. So in Sri Lanka, a research a couple of years ago found out that Sri Lanka's period poverty rate was at 50%. That means 50% of menstruating individuals do not have access to menstrual products, the right necessary information, education to manage their period properly, which leads to them missing work and school as well. This is one of the important topics that is often not spoken in schools, and even the school curriculum does not cover things properly and does not give the right education and the information to school children. So through the work that I've been doing with Zonta Club, it was mentioned, it's not easy to connect with schools, especially, they don't see these topics as important. So Zonta have been very instrumental in securing the access to schools for us to go into and conduct the sessions. So what I do is I basically begin by giving an introduction to the female reproductive system, just anatomic wise, what's there, what are the parts involved in menstruation, how menstruation happens, and why menstruation happens. Basically, like these are controlled by hormones, that it's not in the control of anyone, the person itself, and things like that. Then I go into what a regular menstrual cycle is, and then explain to them that the menstrual cycle is not like it's not same for everyone. Because often a lot of people think, it's a 28-day cycle that should happen to everyone exactly as it is. And then I go on saying, like for the school children, it takes them about 6 years for their menstrual cycle to regulate, so that, when they're in their 20s only, they get like a monthly menstrual cycle. Then we introduce like what the available products are in the market. These include the pads, cloth pad, tampon, menstrual cup, and even the menstrual underwear, because we just want people to know what is out there so they can choose what they want to use whenever, if they can. So like whenever I take out a packet of pads to show, the school girls, they would, laugh, in, shame and all that. And even talking them, me as a man talking about it is a bit of a new thing for them. But I make sure that all these products are passed around the classroom or the hall so that, they get to see what it is. But again, when it is being passed, some passes really quickly, some doesn't want to touch the products. And I keep saying, these are new products. You don't have to be, shameful about this. There's something natural that happens to every woman. And also it happens to some mammals as well. And some get surprised at the that it happens to other animals. Then explain to them how it's, connected to dogs, cats, and all that. And then towards the end of the session, it's kind of become normalized, given the short amount that we talk about it. And I also go on to talk about, how to maintain genital hygiene, why nutrition is important, especially when someone's menstruating, and then like what the common symptoms are when they are on a period and right before, and how to manage them. So in Sri Lanka, pain management is a huge issue, especially women's pain is not addressed properly within the society as well as the healthcare system. And a lot of people don't even use painkillers for period cramps. So I spend a bit of time explaining that, Panadol or any painkiller is to reduce pain, and it's not a bad thing to use for period cramps. But there's a huge misconception in society that using any painkiller is not good for period cramps. Is not good. It can lead to infertility and other problems, even with the menstrual cycle. So this is causing a lot of school children, even women, to like go through these cramps without seeking proper pain management. And I can't imagine how they go on about their day, especially for people who have rather severe period cramps. So, and then at the end, I talk about tracking their cycle, why it's important, and also then debunking a few myths. Like we've heard a lot of myths, one of which most common ones are basically that you should not wash your hair on the first 3 days of the period. And in one of the schools, they mentioned that if you do that, you will go blind. And then regarding the Panadol, someone mentioned that if you take Panadol, it gets, clamped, collected in your stomach and it doesn't go anywhere. Then that, like period blood is dirty. That is also something that comes up. There's this whole concept of being kili, not, that people shouldn't go to temples or powils during periods. I'll also talk a bit about that. Then towards the end, how we measure how successful in their questions. Sometimes a lot of girls are not really comfortable in asking questions in person. So we give them like a piece of paper and a pen for them to write down any questions they have. And at the end, I get like, it starts coming, like when one person starts sending, the others also jump in and send a lot of questions. And it's also about, about myths, about especially using painkillers. There are some talk about even beyond menstrual health, basically more into reproductive health side, that is also not covered in school, like, how they are attracted to opposite sex, virginity, things like that. So this is, like I said, a topic that is often overlooked, even within the urban communities. The awareness is really low, and the work that I've been doing with Sonta, I think, and with your support, it's been great, and I hope we continue.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much, Mihitha. That is such important work, and I think you do it with such sensitivity and empathy, and so we really appreciate your work. We appreciate very much Zonta's work in doing all that legwork to identify the schools, to get permission from principals, to really kind of make it possible and set all the groundwork for the good work you do. So thank you so much. Over to you, Nilakshi.
Can I add something? I'm Shanaz. I'm from the Zonta Club.
Of course, yes.
Okay. So since we've been doing it for a couple of years, and prior to working with Satva, we worked with another foundation, and we covered over 2,244 girls. And since working with Satva, we've worked with 3 schools, and we've covered 800 girls. Unfortunately, there is an issue with it's either school exams or school holidays. So to get a date with the school sometimes is a little difficult. But our plan is to start again in January and February. And when when you go there and you see the questions that the girls ask, it's amazing that they just don't know anything at all. And I think something like this is a wonderful opportunity to educate these girls, especially in the rural areas. And thank you for supporting us.
Thank you so much, Shahnaz.
I just like to say one more thing. I saw Sujit here. I don't know whether he remembers, but he and his brother Jehan helped us during the tsunami when we built 30 houses. Remember?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. I was, soon as Shireen connected us with the Zanta Club, I remember that project back in 2005.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the money all came from the US.
That's right. Yeah, we raised quite a lot of money back then, 2005, 2000. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce Milani Salpitikorala. She is the founder of Child Protection Force, a small but mighty NGO in Sri Lanka that provides legal aid, psychological assistance, emergency safe housing, and socio-economic assistance to children and women surviving abuse. Milani is an experienced attorney at law with a strong background in child protection, legal reform, and trauma-informed advocacy. She leads legal strategy and multidisciplinary coordination at Child Protection Force, working closely with law enforcement and frontline responders across Sri Lanka. Satva Fund has been providing monthly support to CPF since April 2024. And after last year's webinar, was also able to secure a $10,000 contribution from the Sri Lanka Association of New York to support CPF's critical work for women and children in Sri Lanka. As you listen to Milani speak today, I would like to remind everyone that she will be sharing some slides of some confidential information that will further support what she's sharing with us. So please refrain from taking any screenshots or images of the slides that she will be sharing. Milani, now to you.
Thank you so much, Nilakshi. Thank you. Sherin, we can have the slides up if that's okay. There's a slide just before that. Yeah, that one. Thank you. First, I'm going to start off by saying thank you. We have had Satva Fund support us for over a year now. So Sherin first came into our first office, which was a very small, maybe 500, 400 square foot office. And one of the biggest challenges we had there was that when families come in and sometimes when severe crime cases come in, there's a lot of family who comes in and sometimes it's also babies, and we couldn't, we didn't have the space for them then. And then we were waiting for the funding. We found this beautiful place very close by also. So, and then thankfully I met Shireen and she said, Milani, go for it. We're going to support you. And since then, it took us a while, but now we have a complete space. I will show you pictures later. And we launched the space on the 9th of September. Michael from Affinity was there. He saw it. While I'm on the thank you note, please let me also thank you, Michael and Affinity, because they have been helping us with support for a legal officer. And just one thing, when we were talking about, Shireen was introducing Michael, she was speaking about the meals and how organized they are. And that is one thing we learned. Kanchana from my office is here. She will also vouch for it. One thing we learned was Michael and Dinesh said, Milani, we have a WhatsApp group. We have everything. We have every meal. We know everything that the children are being fed. And that's exactly what we started for the Safe House. So every cup of tea, every biscuit, all that comes into us with a picture, so we know what they're eating. We know it's a nutritious meal. So thank you, Michael, Affinity. So I will show you what we have been doing. So if we can go to the next slide. Child Protection Force started in 2017. And of course, we started with legal assistance for children, but later we decided, we realized that legal assistance only is not enough. If any of you here have been into a courthouse, a magistrate courthouse, because that's where every first responder case is reported to when it's a crime against someone, is reported to the magistrate court. And if you have been to a magistrate court in Sri Lanka, it is not the most beautiful place to go into. It also hears all the crime cases, so all the drug-related, theft, everything, all crime-related, murder, everything comes into the magistrate court. It's very crowded. It's very loud. It also smells because there are a lot of, the remand is just inside there, and there are a lot of people who are on drugs, who are just after a lot of alcohol. So it's not a nice place for a victim to go to, and every time a survivor to be at. So every time I go to a magistrate courtroom, to be honest, I get depressed of the profession day in and day out. So we realize it's not just the legal help that's needed, it is also the follow-up psychological care, just the trauma itself. So time and time again, we keep saying that what we are trying to minimize is a secondary victimization, because we know that US has a whole load of child crime. We know that, every other country, there are a lot of other countries that have a whole load of crimes against children, but what we want to try to stop is the secondary victimization that happens within the system. I will speak about the challenges also later. After we moved into our new space, we were able to have a individual therapy room for our psychologist where she conducts individual therapy. And we have a play therapy room where children who opt to stay in the play therapy room and talk to a therapist, that option is also available. So the therapy room is not only used for survivors, but also we have opened it up to state officers, police officers, whoever, legal aid officers. And we have had quite a few officers who have come in for sessions for themselves, because this is not given by the state also. And the speciality is, if you go to the next slide, I will show you the first picture you will see is a evidence room. So what you call in the US is a child and adolescent forensic interview. So that is CAFI is a person who interviews a child. It's a special person trained to speak to children, trained on trauma-informed care. So that first room in the corner you see with the white and brown chairs, that is a room that, Sherin, I don't think you saw this when you came last time. This is a room where we have 3 cameras set up there. And the room right next to it, it's not in the picture, is a room where the interview is recorded. So ideally in the US, in every other country, what they do is the child sits in this room with that specially trained officer, and the interview is recorded in the other room, and the investigation officer is in the other room watching the interview. And say, for example, if the investigation officer wants to ask a question in the middle, then he will signal the person interviewing to come out, so take a small break, go out. So it's a very trauma-informed, sensitive interview, which doesn't happen right now so often. So if you go to a special police station like the Police Women and Children's head office, you can probably get a sensitive interview, but otherwise it is very normal, like you're interviewing a normal criminal. So you see the top right corner is the play therapy room, and bottom left is the room that the lawyers, and the bottom right is also for the legal interns and the psychology interns. And the next slide has, so this was a launch of the space. on the 9th of September. We had a mixed crowd of people. The only people who didn't attend were the invitees we invited from the government, but otherwise a lot of the state officers, including the juvenile magistrate judge, came in and who said that she's very happy to see this kind of work, and she's very happy to send more cases and children for our service at the Child Advocacy Center. So this is also Zoe, who is an emotional support dog, who is currently doing a lot of work with the children at the Safe House. These are the children at the Safe House. And if you see the little guy in the orange t-shirt, that's when we took them all for a boxing match. And this picture was just taken before he said, "What time am I going into the ring?" So our Safe House is a different sense of housing for children. It's very holistic. They're not locked up. They're not on a militarized schedule. They're very free. We try to take them on outings when we have the funding. But yeah, and so every weekend we have the dog going in. So these are some of the children who came to the Safe House, and so it's a whole new reintegration. They need to go back to school. Moms need to find jobs. So these are 5 children who we had to start reintegrating, went to school. Thankfully, we have a school very close by to the Safe House, and the principal is lovely and has always said we can send our children there. So the challenges that we are facing right now is the collaboration with the state. So we launched this space, we launched this interview room. And right now, what we need to do is for state to agree to use it. Where all this service is available. So this is a big concern because sometimes they seem to be hesitant to work with civil society. And also the procedural delays, this is something again, time and time again, we keep saying, singing the same song, including the judicial delays. Recently, one of our cases that we filed in 2020, and every time we went to court, it says the case is gone for Attorney General's reference. So we took the file 5 years later. The Attorney General reference was sent in 2023, but it is only the judge who was appointed now who looked at the file and said, the file hasn't been sent to the Attorney General, and the video evidence recording hasn't come from the National Child Protection Authority to the court. So it has taken 2 years and nothing has happened for a document to be sent to another office. So these are the challenges that we are trying to fight. And at that point, it is a lot of human resources on our part because we need to file more human rights cases. And it is only if you threaten with a human rights case that action will start happening. So this is that system we need to be changing. And again, with reintegration, one of the biggest problems we're having is we have asked Safe House, we sign a contract with Safe House residents to come in. Once they come in, it would be for 3 to 6 months. But most of them stay on for longer because the support that we can provide is the initial reintegration of housing, rent housing, education, jobs, which is also extremely expensive because you need to buy every tiny equipment. For details, please reach out to Kanchana. She will give you all the details of reintegration. And the continued support is unavailable from the state. And it's difficult for an organization also to continue to support families for a longer period. So one of our biggest challenges right now is the collaboration of the state. And what we are learning is when we also have learning collaborations with international jurisdictions where, the US DOJ trained us with the CAFE and assisted with showing us what a child advocacy center is. So trying to rebuild those connections so that the state of Sri Lanka will know that civil society is a necessity, or rather to have that multidisciplinary collaboration is necessary. Yeah, so we do also a lot of trainings for state sector actors like police, divisional secretariat, actors like CRPOs and so on. But the last year we have been unable to do any of these awareness programs, trainings, due to funding constraints. But hopefully in December, we hope to conduct a training for police and child protection actors in Gaul Division. I'm in touch with the head of police in the Gaul Division, Women and Children. So hopefully we will have the resources to conduct that training and assist the state with better child protection mechanisms. Thank you, Satva, again, for your support. We are absolutely grateful.
Thank you very much, Milani. So maybe I recognize that we're almost at time. So just to close it out, I want to just acknowledge and thank all our generous contributors. Without your support, none of this would have been possible. As Shireen mentioned earlier, in 2024, we set a goal of $40,000. We exceeded it and raised $48,000. For 2025, the goal we've set is $50,000. We're a little short of it. So if you have the capacity or you know anyone who would be interested in supporting Satva, please do reach out to them and have them contact us. And we also look forward to your continued support as we go into 2026. And finally, a big thank you to all those who presented today, because you're the people who are actually implementing these programs locally on the ground. You're getting to see the struggles, the challenges, but you're also getting to see the impact that, what some of these initiatives can do. So big thank you to all of you. If you have any continued questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us. But with that, I think we can bring the webinar to a close. So thank you very much. Shireen, Sujit, anything to add?
No, I think we're good. Again, just to reiterate what Krishi said, thank you so much. And please reach out to any one of us if he can provide any more information about any of our programs.
Thanks all for joining us. And there were some really good questions in the chat, and I see that several of our speakers answered the questions also in the chat. So, but please do be in touch. If you have if there are unanswered questions, or if there's any more information you want about Satva, about the work that you've heard about today. So thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Thank you very much. Sorry I couldn't say anything before.